What's the scariest thing happening in America today? You already know if you watch the show regularly, but what's the scariest thing? It's what's happening within the walls of the FBI for two different reasons. I say that all the time, but for two different reasons. One, the power they have. They have the power to destroy your life, my life. I didn't do anything wrong. They have been caught planting evidence on people who didn't do anything wrong forever. If they wanted to, right now, they could lock you up for years in prison. The power they have to destroy your life and the history of the world. The history of the world says that secret state police agencies who have their weapons pointed at their own citizens, working on behalf of one political party, have committed more murders than anything else. Mao never killed a single person once he took power. Neither did Stalin. Hitler didn't either. Their secret police agencies did. And now we find out of all the things the FBI has done, and there are many, now we find out, one, they are in fact the majority in some of these patriot groups out there. Our friend Julie Kelly is reporting that they outnumbered the actual Proud Boys 2-1, feds did, but two, and this is more important, this is what earned Christopher Wray a subpoena from Congress. They have plans to infiltrate the Catholic Church, develop sources within the church. How long have I been telling you that the church is being made into an enemy of the state? And if you follow that to its logical conclusion, I told you they were coming for your church, didn't I? I've told you it for the longest time. And before I introduce Congressman Mike Johnson, we're going to ask him about the subpoena and everything else. I just want to remind you, when the government, when the law enforcement and intelligence apparatus aims itself at something, it can hurt that something badly. It aimed itself at the Soviet Union once and collapsed an empire. It aimed itself at Islamic terrorism and killed I don't know how many across the world. The entire intelligence and law enforcement apparatus of the United States of America is now aimed at the political right. You sit and think about that. Let's talk to the congressman about it. Joining me now, Vice Chair of the House Republican Caucus, Congressman Mike Johnson, one of the good ones from the great state of Louisiana. Congressman, okay, well, what Christopher Wray just did earned him a subpoena. What did he do? What is the FBI doing with Catholics?
It's unbelievable. You can't make this stuff up, but the more we dig, the more really shocking information that we find. What happened in this case, the latest abuse that we've uncovered, is that FBI officials really did hatch a plan to develop new sources among Catholic clergy and church leadership to report on Americans practicing their faith. They effectively wanted to recruit undercover agents inside these churches to monitor and report on parishioners. You cannot make this stuff up. It's outrageous.
Okay, Congressman, now please correct me if I speak out of turn here, because I don't want to give out false information, but if we have uncovered, or I should say if you have uncovered that they're trying to do this or were trying to do this, I have to reasonably assume they're already doing this, that this is something that's already done. Is the FBI in my church?
That's a great question. That is one of the reasons we had to subpoena the director of the FBI himself, Christopher Wray. We know that this plan was hatched. It was first reported in January. We know this because whistleblowers inside the FBI revealed it to us. We have the documents. So this is not conjecture. It's not a theory we have. This actually happened. We began asking for information about it immediately upon our receipt of that information in February. We had to ask again in March. The FBI has been reluctant to turn over the documents, probably for obvious reasons. When they did, they sent us 18 pages that were heavily redacted. What we do know from those documents, though, is that, listen to this, it gets better. This plan was specifically approved by multiple levels of FBI supervisors in the Richmond field office, and even one of the top lawyers there. We know also that the document was circulated among all field offices around the country. So we have to get down to answer that question that you just asked. Is this actually happening right now, or did we catch it soon enough?
Congressman, I know you know all the details about the school board moms and everything else. So it sure sounds like we have a secret police agency in the United States of America. I don't think that's too over the top to say. And when you look at history, that's a pretty frightening thing to happen within our borders. What can we do about it? When Christopher Wray comes and sits before you and says, well, I can't comment on that. Well, you know I can't comment on that. What's the next step? Because there has to be something.
There has to be, right. You're exactly right. Listen, it shows a blatant disregard for our most fundamental freedoms as Americans, those freedoms that are protected by the Constitution. And this is a pattern at the FBI under this Department of Justice. This isn't just a one-off, as you noted. We have many files that we've developed and investigations going on right now. And it shows that there's this blatant disregard among the people at the top. And so what we have to do is get accountability. We have an oversight responsibility under the Constitution. We have limited authority, of course. We only have the majority in one house of Congress, but we're going to use every tool in our arsenal to get down to the bottom of this. Number one, to investigate, show the facts to the American people. Number two, to institute reforms to ensure these abuses can never happen again. And then thirdly, of course, we have the power of the purse. And so it may come down to some funding decisions about some of the priorities of the FBI and big projects they want to institute. If they cannot respect the basic tenets of the Constitution, they do not deserve the treasure of American taxpayers, and that's the bottom line.
Is that something the Republican Party has the will for? I'm not worried about you, but there's a lot of Republicans. That majority isn't that big. Do they have the will to do what needs to be done when it comes to the purse?
This is the ultimate tool that we have, right? We're just the House of Representatives. We don't have the ability to indict people or arrest them or put them on trial. Mm-hmm. What we can do is put them on trial in the court of public opinion, and then use that really important power that we have. We have a responsibility to do that. So I think that there will be widespread support when we get to the end of these investigations and we put together the solutions. There must be accountability. The American people demand it, and they should. They're owed that. If we don't make an example of some of these folks, these kinds of abuses will happen again. And as you were alluding to earlier, this is a step towards tyranny. It's a dangerous, dangerous thing, and it is not who we are as Americans.
Yeah, let's hope it's not who we are. All right, Alvin Bragg, New York. I know you don't have jurisdiction there. Can anything be done about these Soros prosecutors and these ridiculous things that they're doing in this country?
I'll tell you where we do have jurisdiction, and a very clear and important responsibility is to ensure that federal funding is not being used for these political charades. Alvin Bragg has abused his office. Obviously, he made getting Trump one of his planks of his platform when he ran for the office, and Soros funded him to get him there. They identified the defendant before they even, and he had an alleged crime. So the whole thing is an abusive process. What we have to make sure is that the federal funding that goes to his office was not used on this, and that's what we're investigating. In fact, I'll let you in on this. We're going Monday to Lower Manhattan. We're going to have a field hearing for the House Judiciary Committee in Alvin Bragg's backyard to draw the American people's attention to the abuses, where he turns his face away from the prosecution of violent crime, downgrades felonies. Over 52% of the felonies in his jurisdiction have been downgraded to misdemeanors, but they use the office for a political ploy to go after Donald Trump and try to upgrade misdemeanors alleged against him. It is absolutely incredible, and we're going to get the victims of all that violent crime to testify on the records so the American people can see what's happening there.
Good. I like it. Congressman, thank you for giving us a few minutes. Go get them.
Thank you. Appreciate it.